we are going to talk about an IEM from the brand that tried to put Chinese culture at the forefront, but always make the same damn mistake of putting the first name before the Chinese surname. Anyways, we have the new Wu Zetian Legend from Tangzu. Tangzu has collaborated with the good folks from Flash Acoustics for the cable of this IEM. Starting things off with an unboxing, the impressive thing about Tangzu is the way they always have a really rather pretty artwork of the person that they choose to name their earphones. The art suits Wu Zetian, who herself started as a concubine and later managed to become the Empress herself. Kinda dark, a lot of backstabbing things going on, and certainly this portrait picture thing looks rather commanding. The back of the sleeve has, again, some of that useless information that people just put there just to look impressive. It's the same thing over again. They don't really mean much. Removing the sleeve, you have the wrong name on the box. It's again Wu Zetian, not Zetian Wu. The box might seem familiar because it's the same configuration as the previous Wu Zetian. Now there's 3 versions, this is the Legend, okay? Inside it, you have the earphones and a huge box that follows below it. The difference this time around is that Tangzu also include all their ear tips as well, which is quite a nice touch. Basically, that's it. Pretty decent. Now next, build quality. Now the earphone chassis themselves are really rather nice. I like that they have this piece of abalone faceplate thingy below the actual faceplate that has holes so you get to see it through the holes. Quite a refreshing take on the aesthetics. The anodization on the chassis is a little coarser than the norm. Also, there are 2 vents on the side of the IEM. Lastly, the chassis features a 2-pin termination. Inside the chassis is an evolution of the previous Wu Zetians, which features a single planar driver in them. But now in Wu Zetian Legend, this current IEM that I'm talking about, it features a dual planar driver, one in 14.2mm and a smaller one in 6mm. The split of duties of having most of the bass rendered through the 14.2mm and the top end through the 6mm really equates to just much less distortion. In theory, good, but it also makes it a little bit less coherent than a pure single driver. Moving on to the cable provided by the good folks from Flash Acoustics, it uses oxygen-free copper that is lit and has shielding. The build of the cable is really quite exquisite. The purple sleeve here employed is quite soft and very easy to manage and terminates to a 4.4mm jack, which is perfect for my DAP and dongle. Also included in the case are all the assorted Tangzu Sancai ear tips. It is nice that Tangzu has provided them. If you are wondering, should you pick these ear tips ahead of other ear tips, I think there are really other much nicer ear tips out there, but since this is a freebie, I won't really complain. It's free, so take it, it's alright. But if you're looking for ear tips, there are better options out there. The box provided here is huge and perhaps not very practical if you're gonna daily drive these, but if you want to store your IEMs in them, for the long term, it is very decent. Sonically, this Wu Zetian is V-shaped with elevated upper mids and is voiced through dual planars. They do exhibit standard planar characteristics such as having linear bass dynamics, which result in clean bass but isn't as natural as bass rendered through dynamic drivers. I actually like the addition of the second smaller planar driver for the treble, as it certainly makes it quite a bit more airy sounding, which is a far cry from the dark sounding IEM of the original Wu Zetian. Also, one thing to add, this Wu Zetian, the Wu Zetian Legend, is very power hungry. So sure, you can power it with the dongle, it will be loud, but running it through the Lotto Power GT2, it can clearly sing a lot better. Bass. Wu Zetian Legend follows the script on how planar bass is rendered. There is an emphasis on sub-bass that transitions linearly to mid-bass. It kind of delivers bass in a flattish sort of way and not as exponential as a dynamic driver. As such, this creates a very nice open stage for the mid-range. It does render sub-bass very effortlessly. On the whole, bass is relatively fast with good clarity. Mid-range. With the stage set by the bass, mid-range here is expansive sounding with good levels of clarity. Do note that I'm driving this with the Lotto Pod GT2. It sounds this way. With a regular dongle, it is still clear but isn't as expensive sounding. Vocals have a nice clarity with a touch of warmth that works great for people who love to listen to vocal-forward music. So this is one track that I listened to. I was in NYC and I watched Hadestown in Broadway at the William Kerr. So listening to the epic 3 from the original Broadway cast recording, I say it is quite beautiful here. Instruments are also very clear and spaced very adequately with airy resonances that is aided by the treble section. Treble extension on the Wu Zetian Legend is actually very good, as it is apparently very airy. Do stream high-res losses for them to be a little bit more apparent. I like how treble is rendered here. For me, I found it pretty smooth sounding. I've already posted my graph earlier, and you would probably be a bit concerned on how jagged the treble is, but trust me, I found it pretty smooth sounding. Soundstage. Firstly, when it comes to width and height, it's pretty good on both fronts, likened to that of a small concert hall, which is impressive for an IEM. Depth and positioning. Depth remains above average, as linear bass tends to just have a tad bit less explosiveness when it comes to dynamics, but positioning on the Legend is actually great, and instrument positioning is actually pretty pinpoint. And now, this is a season of planar, so there's a lot of planar IEMs out there, so on to some comparisons. So here's the thing, in the planar market, there is certainly too many competition out there with the LetShouer S12 2024 and the 7Hz Timeless 2. How does the Wu Zetian Legend compare? So firstly, versus the LetShouer S12 2024. Between the two, the S12 2024 is the better built with its solid titanium chassis that simply just outclasses the Legend. It just feels more substantial and solid by comparison. Of course, I do think that the cable on the Legend is better than the S12 2024, but the IEM itself, the chassis of the S12 2024 is certainly a bit more solid than that of the Wu Zetian Legend. Sonically, the LetShouer S12 2024 is a tad bit warmer compared to the Wu Zetian, and levels of technicalities between the two is really neck and neck. I won't really say one is better than the other. Both of them would be really just mass-pleasing and suitable for a large pool of genres. But hey, the S12 2024 is about $50 cheaper. You might say that you get 3 different types of Sunsai ear tips, and if you care for them, I guess that is good value. Personally, I think that there are better ear tips out there that simply just outclasses the Sunsai that you can buy with this $50. Next up, versus the 7Hz Timeless 2. Now, the 7Hz Timeless 2 is the most versatile planar IEM out there through the different nozzles made available. With its stock nozzle, the gold normal looking one, it is pretty similar to the Wu Zetian Legend. The silver nozzle on the Timeless 2 makes it more in line with how the LetShouer S12 2024 with a warmer presentation. The Timeless 2 also provides 2 more bullet-shaped nozzles that focuses the mid-range while enabling a larger soundstage. Between the Timeless 2 and the Wu Zetian Legend, I would go with the Timeless 2 because it's good, if not better, than the Wu Zetian Legend when it comes to technicalities, while also being more versatile sounding. Next up, some ratings. So bass. The Wu Zetian Legend delivers standard planar bass rendering. It's nice, it's very sub-bass focused, it gets a 7.5. Mid-range, I really like how clear and precise vocals and instruments are. It's very pinpoint, it gets an 8. Treble, it's really airy and very well balanced, it gets a 7.5. The overall resolution here is also good, so it gets a 7.5. Soundstage. Now, Soundstage is very good with excellent positioning, it gets a 7. And lastly, enjoyment factor, it gets an A-. I did enjoy the Wu Zetian Legend quite a bit. Now, these are my last words. The Wu Zetian Legend is a good set, but the problem rises when there are other planar IEMs in the market that is similar or just more versatile than it. If you want these, they would make you really happy, but if you are considering between the S12 2024 or Timeless 2, I think that they would be better alternatives than the Wu Zetian Legend. I'm back from NYC and it was a blast, so I'm not sure whether this is the first video out or there's another video that's being filmed on the same day where I'm wearing the same thing. Thank you guys for visiting me. I take feedback to the channel very seriously, so no more lame jokes, or lesser rather. With that said, thank you guys so much. See you guys soon.